It's 4 o'clock on Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. And there you have it. Yeah, I figured out what the sound problem was from yesterday and got it all fixed up. Hello, everybody. No, the music doesn't fit the picture. I just think it's cheesy as hell, so I had to use it. Welcome to the big show. This is the Taxi Quarantini Happy Hour. How are you guys? Let's see. We've got Darren Moss, El Rosso, Emil, Bob Gunnerfelt, Ian Shortall, John Pearson, Greg Carozzo, Wind Chimes, Dan Weber, Randy Bear, Spiritual, Peter Rahill, Andre Stepanian, Darren Fletcher, Alberto Altamiranda. Hello from South Florida. Woohoo! Let's go fishing. Miami, my old home. Crash Gates, Songs from a Headband. Dean Turner, woo! Oh man, how are you guys? Daryl Berman. Okay, so, man, I'm having a bad hair day today. I was outside picking tomatoes and I got windblown and my hair's a muss. Hello, Jesse, Giovanni. How are you guys? So, hello, Lucian. So, today's show is going to be called Things That Annoy Me. Robert Orzechowski. Let's see. The new vintage EQ plugin in Logic. Unbelievable. Ooh, can't wait to try that. Martin Gravel. Peter Rahill. Yes, smash the like button right now. Hit that like button. Haven't been getting a lot of likes lately. I need you guys to step up and like us. So yes, the title of today's show once again is Things That Annoy Me. So, first thing that annoys me, I'm going to tell you a story. We get all kinds of wacky stuff. Any business that deals with the public gets, wacky stuff. So we had a guy the other day, my wife was telling me about this. We go out for walks, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 nights a week. We go out for a little power walk when the sun goes down. And she was telling me about a member who, I want to say he was like a week or 2 weeks away from the end of his 365-day refund period. So the guy says, I want a refund, but don't give me the refund until the very last day. So, hello, Cass. So they forwarded the refund request to Angel, our CFO, and she processed it, bing, bang, boom, because that's the kind of company we are. And the guy, wigged out. It's like, no, I didn't want the refund until the last day of my membership. I wanted to submit more stuff. So there you go. That's the kind of wackiness we deal with. So he was upset and wanted to make some more submissions. So he rejoined on PayPal, and because he originally joined on PayPal, so they refunded him on PayPal. He rejoined again on PayPal, and they said, nope, that's it. Sorry, you're out. So the guy actually complained and wanted the $9 in processing fees from the 2 times he used PayPal. Isn't that unbelievable? It takes all kinds of people to make the world go around. So that's number 1 on my list of things that annoy me this week. What else annoys me? Gophers. Gophers most definitely annoy me, as you guys well know. Hello, Marion. I've got one gopher that my little gopher traps will not capture. And this guy will go away. Every time I put the traps in the ground, he disappears. And then I take the traps out and he's back 2 days, sometimes 20 minutes after I take the trap out, I see a new gopher mound. Anyway, I just went out. A microphone that doesn't work, that annoys you, yes. So anyway, yeah, I went out there and pulled the gopher trap out, and like 20 minutes later, there was a new gopher mound there. Embrace the gopher, then he won't stick around. There you go. Pearson said, let me at him. That's funny. Squirrels annoy me. They got another one of my tomatoes. The cost of a laptop these days, really annoying. So I finally pulled the trigger. Just ordered the new laptop about 15 minutes ago. Here's what I got. I got a 16-inch MacBook Pro in space gray, 2.3 gigahertz, 8-core, 9th generation Intel Core i9 processor with turbo boost up to 4.8 gigahertz. I've never really understood the turbo boost, but okay. 32 gigs. I actually didn't go for the 64 gigs of RAM when I really thought about it. Didn't need it. 32 gigs of RAM. An AMD Radeon Pro 5500M with 8 gigs of GDDR6 memory, which is the most important thing because that helps doing live streaming. So got that. 1 terabyte solid state drive, 16-inch Retina display with True Tone, like I would know the difference. 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. That annoys me. So now I've got to buy adapters and dongles and all kinds of crap because Apple decided that they only wanted to have those little Thunderbolt 3 ports all over the place. What the hell were they thinking? Man, if Steve Jobs were still alive, he'd be getting a letter from me. Actually, I would give his email address to the guy that wanted the refund. Let him annoy Steve Jobs. Touch Bar and Touch ID, which I may or may not use according to you guys. Hello, Alex Dillon. The backlit Magic Keyboard. Ooh, that sounds exciting. The accessory kit, which comes with it, and I have no idea what that is. Getting to the exciting part, though. Photos, iMovie, GarageBand, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote all included. Mac operating system, glad that's included. Most exciting thing on the list is I got Logic Pro X. Yeah, baby. I did. Did I hit the right button there? I did. Woohoo! Ooh, there's a thing called Hyperdrive. It's an all-in-one adapter. I'm writing that down. Hyperdrive. All-in-one adapter. Anyway, it won't be here till September 8th or 9th. But I got Logic. I'm excited. Probably won't touch it till after the road rally. But there you go. So how much was that? $3,800 and change. Woo! I'm in shock. The computer I'm using now, which is a 5-year-old MacBook Pro with 16 gigs of RAM. It's got an i7, which is actually, I don't understand. This one is, here, I'll tell you in a second. I think about this Mac. This is a 15-inch mid 2015. It's got 2.5 gigahertz with an Intel Core i7. The new one only has 2.3 gigahertz with an 8-core 9th generation Intel Core i9 processor. So the new one is actually going to be a smidge slower than the old one. That's weird, isn't it? $3,800. Yes. I'm like, wow, that's almost twice what this computer cost. So that's annoying. Let's see. Did I mention tomato worms? They annoy me, but I've been relocating a lot of those. Excuse me. Yes, that was a Red Bull cranberry burp right there. Other things that annoy me. The Trader Joe's pepper mill with the built-in grinder thing at the top, it has this handy dandy little lid on it. So my wife and I are very different people. I prefer to take the lid off, and we've got a salt shaker like this too, I think, and some other spices. So I take the lid off, I turn it, I'm going to put the lid back on so nothing dumps all over my keyboard, but I take it off, and then I grind over whatever it is I'm seasoning, right? My wife, now she doesn't annoy me, just in case she's watching from the office right now, she will grind up like a teaspoon of pepper in there and then leave it in there. So the next time I go to use it, and I cook dinner like 5 nights a week, maybe 6 sometimes, and I go to season something and I pick it up and I pop the lid off, and about a teaspoon of pepper dumps right onto whatever I'm doing. So put that on the list of things that annoy me. And the last thing on my list that annoys me, and I'm sure this is a universal annoyance, is any form of cling wrap, saran wrap, any kind of plastic wrap. When you try and pull that, you know what, off of the roll, it's always like, where's the edge of the thing? And you start pulling it, and you find out that it's like stuck, but a little piece of it comes off, and now you've got like a 1-inch piece of it that unwinds. It always tears. And then you go to, like, zip it off. These little teeth don't cut anything. Anyway, how hard is it, Glad or Saran or whatever company you are, to make packaging for this that actually works? Although, oh yeah, here's one more thing that annoys me. You go buy a bag of chips and you bring it home and open it up, and about 40 to 50% of the chips are whole, and about 50-60% of the chips are now like little tiny pieces of chips all down at the bottom of the bag. So you realize that you paid for a full bag of chips, and what you got was a half a bag of chips and a half a bag of chip pieces, rendering them almost worthless, especially if you're using dip with your chips, right? Very annoying. So I actually came up with a brilliant idea. Even my wife agreed. It was a brilliant idea for a way to package and ship chips, try and say that 3 times quickly, that will eliminate the problem and probably not as significant weight to the bag that they're in, which I'm sure is an issue for chip manufacturers and chip shippers. Chip shippers, good name for a band. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's actually such a good idea. I'm going to check and see if anybody's got a patent on it. ML the Chip Shipper, that's me. Broken chips, salad toppings, absolutely. We make taco salad with the broken chips from the bottom of the bag. But if that's not why you go buy the chips, why do you get forced into doing it, right? Very annoying. I forgot to mention the other day, I talked to John Pearson. Remember the other day on one of the shows, I said, yeah, John called me on a Sunday. He actually didn't call me on a Sunday. He texted me after the show and said, come on, man, I don't want people thinking that I would actually call you on a Sunday. So I believe he maybe texted me on a Saturday, and I called him because I hate texting. I've got bad thumbs, and I'm not a great typist on a little tiny keyboard. So I called him. So he didn't call me on a Sunday. He texted me on a Saturday, which I did not find annoying. And then I called him, and we had a really nice conversation. So there you go. It was an email on a Saturday. Okay, well, I didn't get much of that story, right, did I? So there we go. How many of you guys have submitted songs so far for tomorrow's show? And there's dead silence over there. Dead silence. Nobody talking about what they submitted. Oh, there we go. Let's see. So Pete Mason did, Edmund did, Darren Moss did, John Pearson did, Giovanni did. There's no theme to what you submit. Spiritual did. All right, so some of you guys have. That's good. Liz said, yeah, we already got 8 of them in. And I said, yeah, watch. Most of them will come in like 5 minutes before the deadline. If it's anything like taxi submissions for listings, you guys would be in shock if you saw how many people like race to the finish line. I'm sure that they're like remixing and oh man, I could have sung that vocal better, touching it up, and then they submit the last minute. And on virtually, I would say 50 to 75% of listings, people call us like 5 minutes after the deadline. Oh man, I missed the deadline. My dog ate my homework. My watch got dunked in a pool yesterday. The electricity's out in Cleveland, so my clock stopped, which is probably battery operated. Can I make a late submission? Which sometimes is a huge pain in the butt for us, because if we're really trying hard to make a deadline, which we do. I mean, we never miss a deadline on the stuff we send to the industry, but it messes us up. So yeah, don't wait till the last friggin' minute. So there you go. What's up with you guys? What kind of music are you submitting for the big show tomorrow? By the way, while you're typing that out, a reminder, there will be no Taxi TV on Monday because I will be out of the office or out of the house. Alberto wants to know, how can I learn more about creating short music clips for internet ads or reality TV shows? Well, you've come to the right place, Alberto. Taxi is all about our members make so much music for reality shows you wouldn't believe it. Okay, going back up here, Alberto, you need to go to the website, taxi.com, and get on our email list. Click the red button that says see the listings or something like that, or see opportunities. Get on the email list and you'll start to see all the people that are asking for that kind of stuff. Peter Rahill very wisely says, never mix a session more than 3 hours at a time, which, we don't let the screeners work more than 4 hours for that very reason. They get burnt out. So Robert Martin sent in an instrumental. JP says, loving the critiques from 347. I'll have to check and see who that is. I'm looking because I was just in an A&R meeting yesterday, and I'm looking around for the document. Here, hang on a sec. I got to grab a document. I have no idea who 347 is, but I believe I had something with screener numbers in the stack of notes from yesterday's meeting, and maybe 347 was on it. Yes. I know who 347 is. 347, I'm not going to tell you, but 347 was one of our best screeners of all time, and then left Taxi, and then came back recently for what I think is a temporary round of screening, and may go back to the other gig for a while. I don't know. But yeah, 347 is a peach. I will totally agree with you on that. Darren Fletcher, excuse number 17. I think I left the click on my track. That's something I would do. Rennie Bear is doing a piano solo and a dance song. Only one submission. Giovanni Lanza is doing epic music. Robert Orzechowski says we're submitting amazing music. Pierre is going to do African groove or Cuban stuff. I got something in my eye. Man, where did it go? Gunnar Felt's going to do Thinking About a Dramedy Cue. Andre's going to do an instrumental acoustic steel string piece. Darren Moss, pop rock song with vocals. Cass is going to do a singer jingle. Edmund's going to do an orchestral trailer. Let's see, now I'm going to go back down. Dan Weber submitting a sex-drinking hard rock song, no joke. Really? I don't even know what that is. Spiritual's doing a hip-hop rap track. Alex Dillon, yes, you missed something. We decided, was it yesterday's show, that you guys want to hear music from each other so you can kind of see what the other folks are doing, and maybe you want to collaborate. So we're letting everybody submit a song, and we're going to play as many of them. By the way, I got some comments from people who said, please don't play full songs. It'll take up too much time. Subtext is, make sure that you've got enough time for mine, I think. And that's cool. I get it. So, yeah, we'll probably do like a verse and a chorus, maybe, I don't know, a minute to 90 seconds of each thing so we can get through a lot of them. I can't guarantee that we will get through everything. So you need to submit, Alex, to taxitv@taxi.com. You've got to have it in our hands by 10 a.m. tomorrow, which is Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. All right? And you've got to send a link. This is really important, otherwise we won't even check it out. You got to send us a link to where we can stream it and download it. Got to do that. You're welcome, Alberto. Yeah, you need to know all about Taxi. You'd be very hard-pressed to turn on a reality TV show and not hear Taxi music. It's become a specialty of ours, getting our members connected with the publishers, which are commonly called production music libraries, that supply the vast majority of instrumental music to reality shows, as well as films and other stuff. Dan Weber song, Not Too Dirty. Yeah, make it not dirty at all. Kind of PG-13, okay? Don't want to get my channel in any trouble here. Marion Laird says, nice front entryway. Boy, good thing Scott Hansen's not in the room. There'd be a comment following that, wouldn't there? Oh, yeah, give me a fader and a button. No, actually, 347's been a screener for about 4 or 5 years, and does a lot of film and TV stuff, a lot, and is one of our most often used screeners, because 347 is one of the very few screeners that has checked out on a number of genres and is excellent at all of them. Doesn't do that much stuff for the record side of the industry, but film and TV, 347 can do songs and instrumentals like a champ. Peter Rahill says, this is the only real reality show. Yep. Oh, look, a squirrel. That's right. Yeah, you can send in a song or an instrumental, Alex Dillon. Rennie Bear's thinking about a Christmas song. My hard lemonade version of Jingle Bells. There you go. No, I'm totally serious, JP. 347's been around for years. One of the most beloved screeners of all time, I think it would be fair to say. Ian Shortle sent in a guitar vocal demo. Whoops, there's the big Skippy thing again. Did I say publisher equals library? I said publishers that work in the film and TV business, different than the publishers like, Sony ATV or Universal Music Publishing or Warner Chappell. Those publishers tend to lean more toward the record side of the industry, although I'm sure that they license stuff for film and TV. But there are companies that are called production music libraries, They were, up until several years ago, were a little known side of the industry that mostly supplied stock or canned music. For TV shows, they have dramatically upped their game and the quality of stuff that they get because of people like your friends there in the chat room that have figured it out, and they submit their music to us. We send it to the companies that have requested music from us. They reach out to the people in the chat room or any taxi member who submits music that's on target and of high quality, and they offer them deals. The music goes into their catalogs, and then they work with the reality shows and films and what have you, and you license the music, and the creators get paid. That's how it all works. Yeah. Excuse me, Cass brings up a good point. What we don't do, I mean, not that we try to hide reality or avoid reality, but there's just no point. Man, that tune sucks when we're listening to each other's music on an episode of Taxi TV. Instead, find something positive, even if you don't particularly like the song because it's not your style, or maybe it's somebody who's just starting out and it's not really all there yet, but they're learning. Maybe they've got a great vocal sound. Maybe the guitar part is really cool. So, point out a positive if you can, or maybe just say nothing at all if you can't. You can say something constructive like, I really like the tune itself, but the drums don't seem locked to the bass all that well, and it's throws you off a little bit. You could put it like that. Be constructive. Do what the screeners do. Give them the velvet hammer. Robert Orzechowski sending in a CSN-style vocal harmony pop song. Very cool. That's right. Marion points out that if you're a taxi member and you're giving us a link to your music, that it's public. And you have to put the email, you have my permission to play this song or this instrumental on Taxi TV. Let's see. Daramos says, the taxi behind Michael has driven in front of the vase. The message I'm sending is your talents will flower and blossom if you use Taxi. That's exactly right, Dara. That's exactly what I was thinking at the time that I did that. And there's that blossoming sound. Screener 374. Is it 374 or 347? Took a stab at my first custom critique. Interesting. Appreciate the attempt. The attempt? We have our best screeners do the customs. Andre says his favorite is... Where'd that piece of paper go? Yeah, there's a close-up of my bad hair day. I don't have the full list in front of me, so I may not know, but I'm curious to see. 319. Okay, yeah. I know 319 well. 319 is a very accomplished scoring composer that's also done a bunch of library work and has been working for Taxi for 8-10 years, something like that. Alex Dillon, no, absolutely do not send a email with an MP3 because we won't open it because we fear getting a virus. Now we can fear two kinds of viruses, not just one, but two, not just the corona. It's not that it's too much trouble, Marion, it's just dangerous. I fixed the audio you couldn't hear yesterday. Yeah, the issue was that I did have the audio coming out of the Rodecaster going into Wirecast, it was only assigned to the preview frame and not assigned to the actual live show frame. So all I had to do was hit a little arrow that says, make it go that way, and it did. It would be nice if the show generates some new collaborations. Let me see who 374 is. If 374 is on this list or not. Oh, that's funny. 374 is another one of our veteran, absolute top of the list screeners, beloved by all. Highly expert at doing anything. Even 374 is one of the very few people in Taxi's history that we will actually assign to record type listings as well as film and TV. Terrific screener. As a matter of fact, there have been times when we were shorthanded on the quality control side of Taxi. You know, we check all the critiques, and 374 did some fill-in work for us on and off for a couple of years doing quality control. And trust me, we don't entrust that job to just anybody. And one of the sweetest people you could ever meet. So it was an attempt at diplomacy, eh? Wow, I can't believe it's 4:30 already. Yeah, speaking of hurricanes, I just caught like 5 minutes of the news this morning when I was getting ready. And it sounds like, at least so far, maybe the story will have developed more during the day and I'm just not aware. But I would say thank God that it sounds like Hurricane Laura, that was Category 4 when it hit land, quickly calmed itself down and became a Category 1 and didn't do nearly as much evil as they were concerned that it would. I did hear that I think a 14-year-old girl died when a tree fell on her house, so that's sad. I hope the flooding and loss of homes is not bad. Having been through no electricity after an earthquake for several days, no running water, that sort of thing, it's more than an inconvenience. You don't realize how much you depend on electricity and running water. So for those people in Louisiana during the month of August that don't have electricity, I'm assuming, because of the hurricane, and they are hot and sweaty, I feel for them. I get it. Simon Burnham, hello. Man, a lot of activity. Have there ever been any screeners that ended up being Stankers? Yeah, of course. As I mentioned on the show before, we actually first we stalk them a bit online, and we obviously look at their resumes. Then we interview them, and a lot of what I personally look for in the interviews is personality. Do they have a giving personality, a helpful personality? Are they articulate and well-spoken? Do I think that they'll be able to convey, what it is they need to say about a certain song or instrumental in a friendly and helpful way? So that's like stage one. Then they actually sit them down and have them critique some real Taxi members' music, but not actually for... In other words, when we put people through the testing regimen, the results of their critiques they don't determine in the testing period whether or not you get forwarded or not, and you never see the critiques, but they are real members' music submitted for real listings, but then the songs are, selected to go back in the pile again, so it gets done by a real Taxi or experienced Taxi screener. So then, after that happens, then for the next 2, 3, or 4 shifts, I mean, sometimes we get lucky, and the first time somebody sits down after they've been through the whole testing regimen and the interview and everything, they sit down, and they start screening, we go, holy crap, this person's a whiz at it. It's amazing. And that's that. And we just let them, turn them loose. Of course, they're part of the quality control system that we've got in place. So even though we've turned them loose fairly quickly, they're still getting their work seen by the head screener, who sees everybody's work. But yeah, there are people who get too comfortable. No, you know what? There's a better way to describe it. There are people, usually the bigger they are and the more impressive their resumes are. Like we've had former vice presidents of A&R at major record labels that we all know. We had a woman that was like a former senior VP at Sony Music, I want to say, one of the big publishers. And she was a big top of the line, like top 10%er, everybody in the industry knew her publisher. Lost that gig and needed some fill-in work until she got another one, and she screened for us. And she just didn't have great ears, so couldn't use her. I mean, she was very kind and very nice and very knowledgeable about music, but she would forward stuff that nobody else would have forwarded. Nobody. And so we scratched our heads about that. We've had screeners that the more experienced they are, they're kind of used to speaking in shorthand. I talked a bit about this, I think, yesterday or the day before. In Nashville, you know, you go to a meeting and you play a song for somebody, and if the intro isn't working for them, before, you know, word one is sung in the lyric, if the intro doesn't cut it, the publisher will hit the stop button, or the A&R person or the manager, hit the stop button and go, no, this isn't going to work. They can tell that quickly that it's just not the right kind of thing for that artist. So people like that with amazing resumes, articulate, friendly, seem helpful in the interview, they make it through the testing process, we turn them loose, and they use that same kind of shorthand lingo because that's what they're used to doing in their work life. And we do tell them, look, you're sometimes dealing with, or oftentimes dealing with, people that are very new to the industry. And so, yeah, you know, always be truthful, be honest, but, you know, put the kid gloves on. There's always a nice way to say it. Again, going back to that comment I made earlier, you could say, you know, lead with the positive. Hey, love your voice on this. However, the drums just aren't locked to the track. And I think if you did that, you'd get a lot more forwards and a lot more interest in this song. That's extremely valuable advice. But somebody who comes from the, you know, really top levels of the industry might just go, nah, ain't working, the drums are off. And saying the same thing, but with a totally different tone of voice. And what you type on paper, of course, is harder to discern because you don't get, you don't get the face. You don't get, the face doesn't telegraph the whole story. You're just reading words on paper, which can sound a little harsh. So there's the answer to your question, Mr. Orzechowski. Yes, we have fired screeners. We have one very hard, fast rule at Taxi, which is if you copy and paste, we've actually had people that after working for us for some period of time, a few weeks or a couple of months, whatever, have attempted to copy and paste. Whatever critique they put in for the last person, they'll copy it, paste it, put it in the next one. Copy it, paste it, put it in the next one. Well, of course, they get caught at the end of that shift because we do the quality control. So we catch them and we immediately fire them. There is no discussion. It's just, I'm sorry, you can't work here anymore because we can't trust you. And then the head screener has to go back in and look at everything they did that day and rescreen every one of those. Karen Brasher says, I have an iMac coming on Monday. Yay, congratulations. Is Logic like GarageBand? From what everybody tells me, and there's several Logic users in the chat room, Logic is like GarageBand on steroids. Start out, you know what? Learn GarageBand. If you are unfamiliar with using a DAW, a digital audio workstation, or any kind of digital recording software in a computer, GarageBand today is what Logic was 10 years ago or something. GarageBand is extremely capable today. It really is. Logic is like the pro version, but GarageBand is not a toy, and it's a really good way to learn how to use Logic, because some of the basic layout and features are very similar, if not identical. Can I tell you anything about screener number 404? Again, this is only a partial list. This is only like 25 people who worked last month. Yes, I can tell you about screener number 404. If you're getting forwarded by screener 404, you should give yourself a pat on the back. Screener 404 is actually a working publisher in Nashville on Music Row. They don't get any tougher than publishers on Music Row. They're not mean people. They're just their bar is unbelievably high. And Screener 404 has been working for us probably for about 2.5 years. 404 has been at that company for probably 5 or 6 years. 404 has been in the industry for probably 15 years. And 404 can pretty much pick up the phone and contact anybody who's everybody in the country music world. Pierre gets a lot of critiques for ethnic stuff from 416. Let me see who 416 is, if they are on this list. No, sorry, 416 wasn't on this list, so I don't know who it is. Greg Carroz, I can't believe it's almost September already. You know, no kidding. Did the hurricane do a lot of damage? Like I said, I only saw, like at 8:45 this morning, I think I saw some news, and so far they were still trying to figure out how much they'd done. John Pearson says GarageBand on steroids times 10 is Logic. Yeah. Is it a fair statement, John, to say that that if you've never used a DAW, that GarageBand is a great way to learn how to, how to build tracks, just how to get used to the whole interface, that Logic is somewhat similar, just, think of it this way. GarageBand is a 1980 VW Beetle. It's got a steering wheel, it's got an engine, it's got 4 tires, and it's got a seat, and it's got a stick shift. So you can learn to drive on that. Logic is a Ferrari. Fair statement, I hope. I gotta say, the cranberry flavor is very good. Excuse me. Okay, JP's never used Logic. I have. GarageBand. And I've heard that from several people. Alex Dillon, you can sign up and get a free SoundCloud account in about 5 minutes. Is GarageBand as good as an SSL? Here's an interesting thing. Glad you actually said that, Crash. I used to work in SSL studios. I would say that much of what I could do on an SSL, you can actually do in GarageBand. Let's see if I have 403 on this list from the other day. Yep. Excuse me. Man, carbonation makes me burp a lot. 403 is a screener. It's been with us for probably 2 to 3 years. Prior to coming to Taxi, 403 was worked for a big music library as one of their like frontline sets of ears when music came in to the library. 403, as well as a couple other people I believe at that company, were in charge of listening to everything that came in and deciding, is it good enough to go in the library, and if so, what genre is it, how would we tag it, that sort of thing. So tons of experience. And I believe 403, actually, we got lucky. 403 lives kind of near the Taxi office and wanted a job that was close to home, so we were very fortunate to get him. Boya Nicholson, if what I write doesn't fall into the pop music realms, is it realistic to submit songs aimed at jazz vocalists aside from pursuing film and TV placements? I wouldn't join Taxi. If you're only pitching yourself as a jazz vocalist, you won't see enough listings asking for that type of stuff because there aren't that many good jazz labels left anymore. Their rosters are much smaller than a pop label's roster would be. So, it's like once every couple of years we'll get kind of a batch of jazz listings in, and then we won't for a while. Almost all the jazz requests we get, almost, are for film and TV related stuff. Question, Screener 19 has been amazing for many years now. Your longest running screener still going today? Possibly. I could tell you that when Screener 19 joined the screener ranks at Taxi, I believe Screener 19 was actually about 19 years old. I could be off by a few years on that, but I remember Screener 19 being very young, and me being the ageist jerk that I am, I thought, there's no way that this person could be a screener at Taxi. Well, it turns out that person spent their entire youth sneaking into clubs at a very young age and totally got to know all the A&R people at all the labels, got to know who all the hot bands were, and was very much respected as somebody who identified new talent early on. And labels used Screener 19 as like an A&R scout for years and years. So yeah, he's been with us about, let's see, the Northridge earthquake was January something of 1994. Deb and I had to move out of our apartment because it was red tagged, just totally destroyed in the earthquake. I mean, staircase was hanging by a thread. Literally, like, you could move it with a finger. The whole staircase became attached. There was like one bolt holding it up. Walls to the outside opened up. You could see daylight through the corners of our home. We had a loft that was barely hanging on for dear life, and thank God that loft didn't come down because Deb and I would have been decapitated. We were in a doorway holding on to the door jambs, and the loft, our heads were sticking out of the door a little. The loft was right above us. If it had dropped, it would have just decapitated us. So we moved into another apartment temporarily for about 9 months while they rebuilt the one that we were living in. And I remember standing out on the terrace. It was on the first floor, had a first floor terrace, and I see this person kind of walking around looking lost. That was Screener 19's first moment at Taxi. Simon says, Garageband not as easy to mix and stuff. Of course, like I said, it's a VW Beetle, not a Ferrari. But good way to learn how to drive, right? The sound is not as good. Really? Don't they use the same digits? Wow, people are showing up in the chat room today that I've never met before. Hello, Mark Klaproth. Screener 19 forwarded two of my songs. I love Screener 19. Of course you do. Screener 19 is a very outgoing person as well. January 17th of 1994. I remember, Rob Shirelli and his wife and our next door neighbor, a comedian, an actor who's actually been on the TV show Friends, a guy named Tommy Blaze, and his very pretty female roommate. I can't remember her name. Tommy and Marie. Her name was Marie. So they came over, the Shirellis were over, and we were doing shots of Cuervo 1800 and playing, I think, Monopoly until about, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So we had like chips all over the table. I'm talking about the kind you eat, not the kind you play poker with, and shot glasses and limes and little plates with salt. And anyway, everybody went home very late. And I think the earthquake hit, I want to say at like 4:35 a.m. And when I moved to Los Angeles, because I'd purchased a lot of Sony gear when I was running a big audio post place in New York, the very nice people at Sony sent me a Welcome to Los Angeles gift, which was this big, remember, this is 1988, a big honking console television with like a 26-inch screen, but it was in a big wood case on a pedestal with a subwoofer. Thing had to weigh like 250, 300 pounds. It took 4 men to lift that thing and move it around. Anyway, the earthquake was so violent. We had 11 feet of vertical ground shift. Imagine, and we had a 2-story, 2-bedroom plus a loft apartment. And we had 11 feet of vertical ground shift. So imagine if your home is going up and down like that, 11 feet at a time. We were hanging onto the door jamb, literally, truly thought we were going to die. Hanging on for dear life, so we wouldn't get slammed against the ceiling. And that television went up in the air and came down head first through the glass and wrought iron table that we were playing Monopoly on. So, there were pieces of shot glasses and Cuervo 1800 and stuff all over the living room floor. Everything came out of our kitchen cabinets. Everything glass broke. There was like knee-deep glass and stuff in our kitchen, if you can imagine that. Refrigerator went over and the doors opened up. Everything came out of the fridge. We had 2 pet newts, like salamanders, but newts, little green guys with orange bellies, very cute, named Slinky and Slimy. And I also had about a 4-foot high sculpture of a saguaro cactus made out of barbed wire. So my wife, being the animal-loving, kind-hearted person she is, as soon as the shaking stopped, it was pitch black. There was not a single light on anywhere in L.A., just dead silence other than you could hear people screaming. My wife yells, "Slinky, Slimy," and she jumps up from holding onto the door jamb of the bedroom and runs toward the kitchen and tripped over the barbed wire cactus and just totally shredded her shins, and then went into the kitchen and cut her feet on all the glass. And she had like salt and tequila and soy sauce and ketchup and hot sauce and glass in her feet. It was not one of our better days. Certainly not one of her better days. Yeah, don't try and guess who number 19 is. Mark Reel, how are you? Yeah, Karen, if you're just starting out, spend a month with Garageband. Just start out with like acoustic guitar and a vocal and a click track. And then once you've got that down where you can get like a decent guitar sound and a decent vocal sound. And by the way, there are all kinds of tutorials on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and search beginner GarageBand tutorial. You'll learn so much so quickly. It'll be a little frustrating. There's a learning curve, but you know what? That's the key to success for taxi members. It's the key to success for pretty much anybody in the music industry nowadays. rather than paying an outside studio, even though many of them now do really good work for not a lot of money, you need the ability to be able to produce what you hear in your head, and the ability of, if a screener tells you the vocal's pitchy, go in and fix it. If somebody says the song needs a bridge, you need to be able to go in and fix it. So if you had to do that and keep going back to a cash and carry studio to do that, it becomes a time issue, it becomes an expense issue. I'm really, really glad that you've got GarageBand. Learn how to use it, rely on the YouTube tutorials, and it will be the start of something good. 6 months from now, you will have graduated to Logic, and you will be starting to get at least capable, if not good, on Logic. A year from now, you go, I don't know how the hell I lived without this stuff. How do you PM in peer-to-peer? Honestly, I never PM anybody, and I doubt that Liz does on the forum. But just go on the forum and go to the general section of the forum and say, how do you peer to, or how do you send a PM? Oh, Nancy just figured it out. Okay, great. There you go, the Music Tech Help Guy. I've watched some of those videos. They're awesome. There you go. Daramos started out on Logic Pro a month ago. Mark Reel says he's been tuning in, quietly watching. That's okay. Edwin Red says he'll throw a mask on, come over to your house and help you with Logic. I'm joking. Yeah, earthquakes are really scary because a hurricane, you know, 3, 4, 5 days before it's going to get there, you've got the option to leave town. I've been through 2 hurricanes when I lived in Miami. You can get out of town. If nothing else, just drive further inland just to get away from the storm surge. Have a hurricane party. Can't have an earthquake party because you don't know when they're coming. Well, I'm excited that you're excited and coming back to it all, Karen Brasher? Is that, I'm saying that right, Brasher? I'm glad you showed up for. Are you a taxi member, or are you somebody that just heard about the quarantini happy hours and wanted to hang out and meet everybody? Cars in our parking lot were moving around like that old vibrating football game. I remember those. Those were awesome, weren't they? Oh, it's time for the crows. It's amazing. They show up every day around this time. Anyway, yeah, we've only got a minute left. This show really flew by. So remember, everybody, yeah, absolutely, you can use sample sounds rather than real instrument sounds. Just make sure that they come from legit libraries, and make sure that they sound like the real thing. That's something that the industry doesn't tolerate very well, is like an acoustic guitar sample that just doesn't sound that good, or a piano sample, or drums, or anything. There's so many good sample libraries out there now that there's really no excuse for having, especially with strings and brass, any of the orchestral stuff. It's not just a matter of buying a good library of sounds. It's a matter, you could have a $250 library of sounds that could sound amazing if you really know how to do the articulations, the dynamics and everything really well. Or you could have a $1,000 library of string sounds that sound not very good because, it's like with no articulations. So there you go, everybody. tomorrow. We will start right away listening to music. Make sure you email a link where we can stream it and download it to taxitv@taxi.com. Make sure that, what else? You've got to include in the email, you have my permission to play this. Man, it's like a Alfred Hitchcock movie all of a sudden in my backyard. Crows everywhere. You have to include a sentence in the email that says you have my permission to play this on Taxi TV. And that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow for another super exciting episode of Taxi. I almost said Taxi TV Live. Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Bye-bye, you guys.